Locho sampo pa gyu trashi pa tuche tempe trinle yarngoda pelge drolor zambe dze parache palde lame shabla solvade Omo a guru vajra dara suma timo nishasane karma Uta varda nishri bara varsa manya sarva siddhi Om guru vajra dar suma timo nishasane sarva siddhi Om guru vajra dar suma timo nishasane karma Uta vardanya shri bhadra varsa manya sarva siddhi Pakyukye akudang dagi lo pakyukye sundaki pakyukye tudandagi ye teyerme chiktu jingilo pakyukye kudan dagilu pakyukye sundan daginga pakyukye tudan dagi teyerme chiktu jingilo makyukye ku dagilu makyukye sunda daginga makyukye tudan dagi teyerme chiktu jingilo Om Amuni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Hamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Sangye chodan tsoge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapso chi dagi jinso gibe sonamgi drola pinchire sangye drupa resh Sangye chodan tsoge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapso chi dagi jinso gibe sonamgi Drola pinchira sangye druparash Sangye chodan tsogi chonamla Chancho pardo dani kyapsuchi dagi chushe gibe sonamgi, drola pinchre sange druparashu. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. There are some attitudes regarding the karma that even though we study the karma, we learn more about it, we learn the meaning and we understand it and we believe that there is no result without a cause and so on. There are still two aspects which are very important that translate into attitudes that still I feel that it's quite far from our culture and sometimes it's very difficult for us to bring it to our daily life. But they are fundamentally important, which are the accumulation of merits and the purification of our negative karma. Sometimes we do understand the meaning of karma and we are careful in our actions and we stop pointing our finger towards others saying they are the ones to blame for what our sufferings and so on. But still we are not consciously putting effort in our daily life to accumulate merit or to purify our negative karma that we have in the past. Okay. And these two aspects are very important. Let's start with the first. The aspect of accumulating merit, it is directly connected to the fact of there is no result without a cause. And if we want a certain result, we must have accumulated the causes for that result. Otherwise, simply it won't happen. So, even when we talk about developing our inner states of inner qualities, for example, as we said before, the karma manifests through sensation. So we have pleasurable sensation, unpleasurable sensation, and neutral sensation. Pleasurable is coming as a result of a positive action, unpleasurable suffering is coming as a result of a negative action, and neutral sensation is coming as a result of a neutral action. So, if I reach a state of peace, of joy, of satisfaction, of love, what will be the inner state of mind? More suffering or less suffering? Less suffering. More pleasure, more well-being. So, but I cannot reach that state of pleasure or of well-being, of peace, if I do not make the causes for that. So, at the same time that I need to study, reflect, understand, put effort, meditate on love, meditate on generosity, meditate on patience, do all of this in order to develop these beautiful inner states. In order for that to happen, I need at the same time merits. I need the positive energy. The causes, they are like the basis that give me the support to be able to develop that inner state of mind. So it's not just a matter of a conceptual process and meditation, that's very important, but if we do not accumulate merits, even though we have the whole knowledge, we will not be able to put it into practice. It remains just conceptual. It's not coming down to the heart. It's not becoming reality within us. So it becomes very important for us to accumulate merits related to our path, Even, for example, Lama Tsongkhapa, which for me, he was a Buddha since he was born already. Even for the way how he was, but independent of what I think. Just to give some ideas of his qualities. Lama Tsongkhapa, when he was around 3 years old, he was already giving teachings. He was going to people's houses and giving advices and the dharma teachings. When he was 3, one of the greatest lamas of the whole region where he was came to his father, offering everything he had materially to his father and mother, requesting them to give their son, Lama Tsongkhapa, to them, to this lama, in order for him to take care of him as a disciple. And they accepted because that's what he wanted, and that's how they saw that would be the best for him, and so on, so they gave him as a disciple. Lama Tsongkhapa started his official formal education of Dharma when he was 3. When he was 12, he already He had received all the most important empowerments of the Tantra. He knew how to do, he used to do personally the self-initiation of Heruka. That's normally in a monastery, maybe after 50 years, people know how to do that in a monastery, but it's not something that people learn daily. And if we really look, so many great qualities. Then, when Lama Tsongkhapa was around his 35, 40, I don't know the exact age. I have very bad memory for that. He had a strong experience that he said, I need to get the actual realizations of emptiness, of the correct view of reality. It's not enough just to understand it, I must get the deeper realization of it. So he wanted to go to India to look for a master that somehow. And then his main master, which was the Buddha of wisdom Manjushri, that he used to see just as we look to each other, Lama Tsongkhapa had his teacher was Manjushri. So Manjushri told him, don't need to go to India. Instead, you should go for a retreat, for accumulation of merit and purification. So Lama Tsongkhapa went to one place called Wokachöling, which is in the border with India. And together with 8 of his disciples called Korthapa Namge, we have represented some of them up there on the painting. On one side there is like Milarepa and Gampopa. On the other side, there is Buddha Mitrugpa. In between there are these masters which were together with Lama Tsongkhapa during this retreat, which were 8 disciples called Korthapa Namge together. And Lama Tsongkhapa stayed in retreat for more than a year and a half, almost 2 years, I think. And during this period, he did millions of prostrations, more than 2 million of prostrations. He did millions of mandala offerings. Even he did a mandala offering. When you do the mandala offering, first we need to pass with the hand clockwise and anti-clockwise. And he used to do on a big stone that was on the cave where he was. The stone still have the mark, which was consumed by so many times he did that offering. He did a lot of Vajrasattva practice. He did a long retreat of something that we don't even imagine to be able to do, so many practices of purification and accumulation of merits. By the end of the retreat, he had a dream in which there were all of the great masters from whom he read their books and he studied them and so on, that they were discussing about the correct view of reality, and they gave to him the text. From Buddha Palita gave to him his text, his commentary on the Middle Way. And when he woke up, he went to read the text and he got all the insights were missing. And after he went to meditate and he got the realizations. So, this is just to say, Lama Tsongkhapa that was Lama Tsongkhapa, he went through a process of accumulation of merit and purification in order to gain realization. So I think we also need it, right? So to say that is not something, this is just for the beginners. For my experience, the greater is a master, from what I have seen with my own eyes, the greater is his knowledge, his experience, the more seriously he takes accumulating merits and purifying negativities. This is what I have seen up to now. The more we are unaware and completely a little bit, I don't know where, the more we are selfish and self-centered, and the more we are unaware of our spiritual path, the more we don't give importance to accumulate merits and to purification. This is what I have seen. So, it becomes very important to accumulate merits. It's also sometimes, we see there are some people that they have good merits, and whatever they want in life, somehow things happen well. There are other people that it doesn't matter what they do, things simply don't go well. That's what we call, normally we use in a conventional way, we call, this person have good luck and that person have very bad luck. We can use other words, this person have good merits, that person don't have the merits to realize that. So the point is that if we want to develop a state of peace, of joy, to maintain a pure state of mind such as the bodhicitta, we must accumulate merits. We must generate the positive causes for that. And there are different methods to do that. I will talk to you about 3 of them. There are more than that, but mainly I will talk about 3. That we could apply to our daily life. Okay? The 3 main methods to accumulate merit is, first of all, to share and to give. So the act of generosity, based on love, based on an attitude of respect, of gratitude, of love. I share what I have. I share my material resources, which is the simplest way. I share my knowledge. I share my work. I share my joy. I share physically what I can help. I share with others. When sharing, we can share, we can give, we can share, we can give towards those that have a higher spiritual development than us, or a lower, or an equal or a lower spiritual development than us. If we offer to someone that have a higher spiritual development, it is called an offering. If we give to someone that have an equal or a lower spiritual development, it's called an act of generosity. It's always the same act of giving, act of sharing, okay? Which is truly fundamental. Then, at the same time, we can share to help others in two ways. One is to help others to avoid suffering. There is someone that is in hunger, we give them food. Someone that is sad, we give them a good advice, we give them a nice hug. Whatever, we are helping them to avoid suffering. The other way is do something that will bring the person a state of joy. These are the two different things. When we do something that will bring the person a state of joy, we do something that will bring happiness and well-being for the other. So there are these two ways. One way is through which we avoid suffering of others. The other way is through which we give pleasure, we give well-being to others. Okay. So, generosity we can have materially, we can have giving love, we can give protection. The best of the forms of generosity is to give the dharma, to help others spiritually. And this is something that we need to bring to our daily life. Share in whatever level we can. We can sometimes listen to someone that have a need to listen. We can give a beautiful smile. We can do so many. There are so many ways of sharing and giving with others. At the same time, there is the part of making offerings. And in all these aspects of generosity, of giving, we should remember that we can act with body, with speech, and with mind. When we talk about acting with body, it means physically sharing and giving. Acting with speech is the way how we speak. Acting with mind is also through visualization. So, for example, in the sadhanas, when we visualize that from our heart light emanates, going to all sentient beings, eliminating their suffering, transforming to whatever they need the most, and bringing them to a state of well-being and so on, we are making an act of generosity mentally. Okay? Even if it's one specific person, we visualize that we help that person and so on, we are mentally making an act of generosity, of sharing. So, together with that, we have the act of offering, and we can offer to the Buddhas, we can offer to our Guru. There are different ways how we can offer. We can offer to the spiritual community. We can be part, for example, in a Dharma center like here, or in a monastery. In the moment that the Dharma center, for instance, is a place that has the ability to do much more than what we could do just by ourselves. Okay? So actually, we are extremely grateful to it, because if it was not for the existence of the Dharma Center, we would not be here today. I could not share the Dharma, which is for me something so beautiful and special. You could not receive it. And so many other ways. Like the Dharma, if it was not for the center, much of what we have couldn't be here. And sometimes, I'm sorry if I say open like this, but it's not always, but sometimes people have the attitude of thinking, oh, the Lama, I would do anything for the Lama, I'm very grateful for the Lama. Oh, the center, nothing. But actually, without the center, even the Lamas would not be here. You know, I always see, and I say, if there is a person that gives a lot of importance for the center and invested everything in the center and put a lot of energy in the center, is Rinpoche himself. If he does it, why shouldn't we do? No? But sometimes there is this strange attitude in which people feel like the center owns them and they don't own anything to the center. Sometimes there is this strange thing, no? So what happened into this is that we need to understand how much we receive. And the center really, as are the monasteries and so on, is a place that give a lot to many people. Like the dharma that we receive is something so precious, but we can only receive because of everything that is around and the whole structure and everything that exists. So personally, we cannot help so many people. So when we are part of something that is greater than us, and we do our small part in it, but that small part put together with the small part of all the other ones make it possible, we are part of it and we make it happen. So we accumulate a lot of positive energy. There's a big difference when I can help one person or 5 people, whatever, and when I can be part of something that is helping thousands of people. It's a complete different way. So this is where comes also the concept of karma yoga. The concept of karma yoga, it's what we call to do a work without any personal interest behind. I do something not because I want something as an exchange, but I do it because I want to be part of something greater than me. And I want to make an offering of my service. And if we do any work independently of where we are, and we make it as an exchange, I give this in order to get that, then that's working. It's not karma yoga. Karma yoga is when I do something in order to offer, to be part of something greater, to offer my service out of gratitude, out of respect, out of faith, out of a real way of offering. And it's a very special opportunity to accumulate merits also. So, basically, the act of giving is a strong way of accumulating merit. It doesn't matter if we give to holy beings, such as the Buddhas, to give to our guru, to give to whoever. And we can give, as I repeat, materially, physically, like if we help someone physically, we can smile, we can listen, we can give advices, we can offer our service. We can also offer our own realizations and our behavior also. When we are able to behave correctly, we can offer that. There's so many ways how we can do that. Also, for example, if I am experiencing something nice, as I drink a nice cup of tea, I can offer that tea to all the Buddhas and dedicate it for all sentient beings. It's a way of accumulating merit also there, because we are giving. Another way of accumulating merit is through morality. It's our ability to keep our commitments. So when we make a commitment of avoiding something negative, when we keep that commitment is a way of accumulating merit. When we make a commitment of accomplishing something virtuous, and we keep that commitment is also a way of accumulating merit. So keeping our commitments is positive. So for example, the act of not killing. If I do not kill simply because I don't kill, I am avoiding negative action. But if I don't kill with the commitment not to kill, I am avoiding negative action and I'm accomplishing the positive action of avoiding killing. Okay, there is a difference between these two. So when we make a commitment and we keep correctly our commitments to avoid negative actions, to accomplish positive actions, these are actually a way of accumulating merit also. A third way of accumulating merit, which is said to be the way for the lazy, which is to rejoice. When we deeply rejoice on the merits of others, we accumulate a lot of merits ourselves also. It is said that when we rejoice of the merits of those that have a higher spiritual development than ours, we get half of their merit. So we go there and we just read the biography of Lama Tsongkhapa, of Buddha Shakyamuni, of great masters such as Milarepa and many others. And there we are there rejoicing, oh, how good that they could do this, how wonderful. We are happy for their virtuous actions. Even if we get 1/10 of their merit, that's already a lot. That's why also it's given a lot of emphasis to read biographies of great masters and to rejoice about the virtuous actions of others. If we rejoice of someone that have the same spiritual development than ours, we accumulate the same amount of merit. And we rejoice about if we rejoice about someone that have a lower spiritual development than ours, we accumulate more than what they accumulate as merits. So it looks quite simple, but actually it's not that easy. Because to truly, deeply rejoice is not that obvious. It's not that simple. But it's something where we should put effort to see what other people are doing or what have done positive things, and be sincerely, deeply happy for what they are doing. Okay? It's another way of accumulating merits. So, this process of accumulating merits, I repeat once again, it is something very, very important for us. And it's something that we should do consciously, not only automatically. Like consciously, I will do something in my daily life. I will make offerings. When I eat, I offer the food I eat. When I drink, I offer my drink. When I see something beautiful, I offer. I share with others. I mentally, verbally, and physically, I will do everything I can to share the more that I can, to rejoice wherever, whenever I can, to keep my commitments, for instance. These are 3 ways of accumulating merits. And they're very powerful ways of doing that. And are always that are within our reach. So it's important for us to do that consciously. Okay, I will every day accumulate merit. This is something that it's very clear. So this is one important part. Now we go to the second part, which is that of purifying the negativities. Okay. The second important practice that we can do in our daily life that is also very important are the practices of purification. Okay, we just saw before accumulation of merits. The second part is how to purify our negative karma. There are different reasons why to make practices of purification. I will give here 3 reasons. The first 2 are actually like positive side effects of purification practices. The third is the real main reason. But let's put it this way. One reason is the fact that by making the practices of purification, it helps us to deal with our own senses of guilt, or where we feel the heaviness of some action that we have done in the past, where we don't feel that, oh, we are not worth of anything good, look what I have done. When we feel some heaviness of something of the past that we have done, the practice of purification helps us to melt that tense knot that we have there and to liberate us from that feeling of guilty that we may have, which is important also. There is maybe something that happened in our life and we still feel very heavy about that, and we have a sense of guilt about it. So the practice of purification is going to help us to deal with that. At the same time, the practices of purification are also helping us to create a positive habits, or better, they help us to avoid negative habits. Because in the moment that I openly admit my own mistakes, by admitting my own mistakes, I am automatically directing myself in order not to repeat that mistakes again. If I make something that is wrong and I simply let it be there, it will be just a force for it to happen again. So in the moment that I daily recognize my actions as non-virtuous actions and I put the effort not to repeat them again and so on, naturally, I am directing myself into a positive way and taking away myself from some negative habits. This doesn't mean that I will not repeat it again because they're habits, but it helps me to direct myself in a better way gradually. The main reason why we do the purification is because we do not want to experience the results of our own negative action. Because once the results start to ripen, then it's too late to purify. Then we need us to experience. It's like a sickness. We should avoid the sickness before the sickness appears. Once the sickness manifests, then it's too late to avoid it. Then we need to cure it. Then we need to deal with it. It's like once the conflict appears, then we need to solve the conflict. It's too late to avoid the conflict. Okay? So similar to that, once we have a negative, many different negative karma, or which means negative seeds that we have planted in our mental continuum. Before they ripen, we need to eliminate them. Once they start giving their fruits, then we need to deal with the fruits. it's too late. It's like if we throw something from high. Until it's in my hand, I can still keep it and do something. When it's gone, then I just need to catch it down. It's too late to do anything. So, it's similar. The act of purification is like, let's say I made many different debts. Once I start paying the debt, then it's too late to ask for an amnesty. Once, before paying the debt, I can actually do something in order to avoid needing to pay the debt. That's a purification. We purify when we do not need, we eliminate the cause without needing to experience the result. That's what we call purification. Okay? So it's not true suffering that we purify. The process of purification is a process in which we generate an opposite energy of that of the negative action we have done in order to eliminate such action, in order to eliminate such negative cause, instead of needing to experience its result. So it's very important because we have accumulated many negative actions. If we remember or if we don't remember, we don't need to feel guilty about it. Because why we do stupid things? Because we are ignorant. So, a feeling of guilt comes very often because we have like an idealized image of ourselves. And we say, how could I do this? How could I be like that? And then I shouldn't be like this. I shouldn't be like that. You know, one thing is to understand, another thing is to realize. So it's normal that we understand that something is wrong and then we do it. But in the moment that we understand that an action is a mistake, that's already a big step ahead. So in the moment that we openly admit our mistake, for me is a sensation of something light, of something good. Oh, I am free from doing the negative action, still not knowing that it's a negative action. Now at least I know that it's wrong. That's already the first step in order to avoid it. So, the step is not to feel guilt or to, to feel the need of any punishment or anything like that. The step is that of openly admitting our own mistake, which is a different thing than saying sorry also, you know. Sometimes we say sorry, but we don't really regret of what we have done. It's like, oh, I am sorry that what I have done harmed you, but I would redo it the same thing again. Oh, I know that it was wrong, I'm sorry because I know that you don't like it, but I would redo the same thing again. And then that's what we see very often, no? People come, they are sorry for what they have done, they say sorry, and we say, okay, all right, you know, we all do mistakes. Then after some time they come and they do the same thing again. And then after they say sorry again. This pattern of repetition often happens because lacking the true sense of admitting it as a mistake, of openly admitting one's own mistake, openly recognizing the mistake as a mistake. We have the tendency to justify our negative actions. We have the tendency to say that we were victims of whatever. Or, you know, I know it was wrong, but if that person would not have done that, or if this or that would not have happened, I would not have done. So it's not my fault, actually. It doesn't matter what happened around. The action that I did was wrong. And I openly admit it. Sometimes also we have the other attitude, which is, oh, I know that this was wrong, but I did so many good things also. Yes, but one thing is not taking away the other. The fact that I did many good things is not making the negative things non-existent. And the fact that I do many negative things is not eliminating the positive things that I do also. Both of them are still there. One thing is one thing, another thing is another thing. One thing is not eliminating the other. So, the step is openly admit one's own mistake as a mistake. And it's such a beautiful attitude. Sometimes I see attitudes of having such a difficulty to admit one's own mistakes. You know, it's like if there is something wrong, and then when the problem have come, oh, whose mistake was? No one's. No one has the courage often to look and say, okay, this is my part of mistake. This is where I did something wrong. But it's so beautiful. It's so dignifying to recognize one's own mistakes. Maybe we don't do that so much because we are afraid of being punished. Because we are used to live in a system since we are young. When we do a mistake, somehow we are punished. So we don't want to admit our own mistakes because we don't want to be punished. But actually, it is truly important for us to recognize our mistake as a mistake and to put energy in the solution. To have the courage to look at our own eyes and say, yes, that is a negative action. Yes, that is a negative habit. Yes, that is a mistake. And I don't want to repeat it. Bless me to get the strength, help me, but because I don't want to repeat it. And we do that by embracing ourselves, not by blaming ourselves. And so the first step is to generate an attitude, as we explained before, an attitude in which we have an opposite emotion, opposite attitude to the one we had in the moment of the negative action. So normally our negative actions most come out of anger, out of arrogance, and so on. So we need to develop love, compassion, altruism, faith, respect, gratitude are the attitudes that we can have to oppose to our negative action. With that, we need to openly admit our mistakes, and we openly admit the ones that we remember and the ones that we don't remember. Okay? So, for example, we get by the end of every day, when we do the purification practices, and remember saying, yes, okay, today, which were the actions of body that were not correct? Yes, today I treat that person in a violent way, and this and that. Okay, so this was a wrong action of body. Today I used my word in a violent manner. I tried to say something in order to make conflict between two people, or I tried to manipulate the situation in order for my own personal benefit, and I was lying, and I was not saying the truth, I was not being truthful with myself and with the others, and so on. I was giving up to my negative habits. I was acting in a way disrespectful with my body by eating what is not good for me, by taking substances that are harming me, and so on. There are so many different ways that we can see. So I recognize that action was a mistake, that action is not a good action. So I openly admit it as a mistake. When we openly admit a negative action as a negative action, we are already, by that simple fact, blocking that action from growing. In Tibetan, we call chapa and machapa. We can say every negative action can be hidden or unhidden. When we keep it hidden, it has the tendency to grow. When we openly admit with others and with ourselves, then we block it from growing and from developing. So it's important for us to look at ourselves and say, okay, what was my behavior of body, of speech and mind? And be careful not to justify oneself. Oh yes, it's true that I answered violently. But if that person would not have that attitude, sure, I would not have done it. It's not an excuse. Did I do that action? Did I speak violently or not? Yeah, so I am responsible for that. So it's my attitude, and I openly admit my mistake. And based on that, I generate the second part, or if we keep the attitude as the first, the third part, which is I generate the strong intention not to repeat again such action. Even though I know that I will repeat, because sometimes we have some bad habits, and we openly admit that it was a mistake, but we have the difficulty to commit not to do it again, because we know that at some point, it will be difficult, and somehow we will do it again. Even if it's like this, it's better to make the commitment not to repeat again than just saying, oh, this is how I am, and let's just be like that. Because when we make the commitment, at least we can make some more distance between the first and the second time that we do the action. We make some more distance in between. So even if we repeat it again, it's better to make the commitment, break the commitment, and make the commitment again after. Okay? But the commitment must be sincere. I don't want to repeat this action again. Please, Guru Buddha, bless me to give me the strength not to repeat this action again. And the fourth part is to do a specific practice of purification with the intention of generating an opposite attitude, openly admitting our mistake, having the commitment not to repeat again. With these three bases, we do the fourth power of purification, which is that, for example, the practice of Vajrasattva, the practice of Mitrugpa that we will receive the empowerment tomorrow. There are like the confession of the 35 Buddhas. There is a possibility of even cleaning the room, doing karma yoga, helping other people. There's so many things that we can do. But it's where we generate a positive energy with the intention to oppose that negative energy that we have done, that negative action that we have done. Okay? So the four powers of purification, so having an opposite attitude, which is basically developing love, compassion, faith, gratitude, and respect. Openly admitting our mistake, committing ourselves not to repeat anymore, and then doing a positive action in order to purify our specific purification practice. Okay. These four powers of purification can purify any negative karma. There is not any type of negative karma that cannot be purified. There are, like, for example, two stories that came to my mind from the time of Buddha. One is the story of Anguni Lamala. Anguni Lamala was one man, and he had a very violent childhood, and he passed through a lot of suffering and so on. And somehow he entered into sort of a sect in which he understood and he believed deeply that he would be completely free from samsara, from suffering, in the moment that he would have killed 1,000 people and made one collar with the finger of each one of them. So it wasn't like a sort of an offering that he would do by killing people. So he would be called Anguni Lamala, which was the garland of fingers. He had like a collar made out of human fingers. And he had killed 999 people. So he was reaching his last one, which to gain his final liberation, as he taught. And he met Buddha on the forest. So as he met Buddha, he said, okay, that's my opportunity. So he ran after Buddha to kill him with a knife. And it didn't matter how much he would run after Buddha. Buddha would walk calmly, and he was never able to reach Buddha and to catch him. So one moment he was desperately tired, so he just said to Buddha, oh, please, stop it. I'm not able to run after you so much. I'm too tired. Could you please stop it? And Buddha said, I am not moving. You are the one moving. And I said, what do you mean? And then he explained to him, I am out of the cycle of existence of suffering. You are the one constantly moving in samsara. No? And he starts to give him teachings. And by that, he touched his heart, opened his mind, and he changed completely life. He became a monk, he followed Buddha's teachings, and he did many practices of purification, and he was able to reach very good realizations in that life. And there's a very beautiful moment in the life of Anguni Lamala, in which actually what happened was that he was walking with Buddha, and then there was one lady that was extremely, not exactly sick, but she was about to give birth. And she had a lot of pain, and she had a lot of difficulties to give birth and so on. So she asked Buddha to bless her, to help her on the process of labor. And Buddha at the time looked to Anguni Lamala and said, you go and bless her. And Anguni Lamala said, how can I do that? Who am I to give a blessing, I am no one. I am just one terrible killer that killed hundreds of people, and I have bloods in my hand. How can I do anything? Then he said, you do, I teach you. So he said, go there, put your hands on the lady. And you say, by the power of the truth, if it's true that I have killed many people out of my own ignorance, and that today I truly recognize that it was a mistake, may through the power of the truth, this lady be healed. And through that, she was cured in the moment, in the sense that she could give labor easily, and then her pain went away and so on. So this is like, very often in the teachings of Buddha come the power of healing through invoking the power of the truth. So to be truthful, it's very powerful. Okay. Together with that, another story is that later in the life, Anguni Lamala was killed because he went one day to ask for food in one of the villages where he killed half of the village. So basically, they just came up and beat him up until death because they recognized him. And but he was not angry to anyone, and he said that he had, even though in this way, he had a peaceful death. And he was happy for that, for the process of his life, of what he did. So another story is of one king, in Tibetan it's called Makyedra, and he killed both his father and mother. And these are one of the worst type of actions that anyone could do. Buddha described 5 different types of so-called immediate actions, which are actions that give immediate negative rebirth. That is, killing one's father, killing one's own mother, taking out blood of a bodhisattva or a highly realized being out of the intention to harm, killing a highly realized being, such a bodhisattva and arhat, and the 5th one, the same level, is creating division in the spiritual community. Creating division in the Sangha. Gendo Yin. So, this king, he killed both his father and mother. But after that, he recognized how bad it was what he did. And even though he had the kingdom in his hand, very powerful and so on, he felt completely guilty. And he went into deep depression that he had killed his parents. So he went to Buddha and he said, Buddha, I killed my parents, what to do? And it was so bad. And Buddha said to him, the sutra in Tibetan says, Padamani Sejashin, which means the father and the mother are to be killed. What? But somehow he said, okay, the Buddha said, And he relaxed a little bit. And after some time, when his mind was more peaceful, he understood that what Buddha meant. He became Buddha's disciple, and Buddha explained what he meant by the father and the mother are there to be killed. It means attachment and desire are there to be killed. Attachment and aversion are there to be eliminated. Not referring to the actual father and mother. So in this way, if in the time Buddha had said to him, look, the most stupid thing you did was to kill your parents, then most probably he would have killed himself and he would have a very bad rebirth. Instead, Buddha at the time said that to embrace him, to help him, in order to create opportunity for him to purify that karma. So he went through the 4 practices, 4 powers of purification, and in that same lifetime he was not only able to purify his karma, but he reached the state of arhathood, which means he got out of the cycle of samsara. Okay. So this is an example to say, it doesn't matter what action we might have done, there is nothing that cannot be purified through the 4 powers of purification. So, and the greatest are the masters that I have met, the more importance they have been given to the powers to purify one's own karma. My abbot, my teacher in Tibet, Kachin Losam Phuntsho Rinpoche, you look to him and you might say, when would he ever do anything negative? And there he is every day doing the practices of purification. He's doing every day the fire puja of Vajradhaka and the practice of Vajrasattva. He's doing his purification practices every day. So the point is that to purify what we have done in the past, to direct our mind in a positive direction in the present for the future. Okay? So we can do these practices, like tomorrow we'll have the empowerment of Mitrugpa, of this form of Akshobhya, which was taught by Buddha especially with the intention to purify negative karma. So it was transmitted with this special intention. It was practiced for centuries and recited this mantra for centuries with the intention to purify negative karma. So it has a special power within it. Okay? Sometimes the descriptions are even so strong, I personally have some difficulties. Maybe I'm not supposed to say this, but for me, I have a very logical mind in various senses, so sometimes a little bit too much. When, for example, it says, if you recite anybody that just by listening once to the mantra of Mitrugpa will be liberated from any negative rebirth. It would be wonderful. I hope so. I don't know truly. But on the other side, there are many different stories in which it's showing the positive interdependence. When we interact with something positive, it creates something in ourselves that gives the possibility to have something good in the future also, even if we do without being aware of it. It's like the great master Marpa. He wanted to create some connection with his neighbor, which was one lady, and she had no connection with him. He gave her presents and many things because he was a great master, a great bodhisattva, a great realized being. And so he wanted to create some connection with her for her benefit. But she would not make any sort of connection. So one day he went with the horse and he destroyed her whole crops in order for her to be angry with him. Because then she created a link with him. And even she didn't get angry with him. So this is one example that is given to say, when someone really don't have the merits to make a connection, would not make, even in the good or in the worst, is not even making the connection in that way. No? But it's to say, when we make a connection with something really positive, even if the connection comes through a negative path, it is better than having no connection. So I think this is all for today. There are still some things which we could say about practices of purification, but I think we already had a lot. And the important thing is to understand that all of this, the two practices of accumulation of merit and purification of the negative karma, to understand it within the context of interdependence in which we live. Is a way of interacting with our own actions that we did in the past in order to have a better result in the future. Okay? It is important to understand it within that context. So just to conclude, the fact that it is very important for us to do the practices of purification is important for us to embrace ourselves, to respect our limits, to understand ourselves, to accept what we are, and to move forward with that. This doesn't mean, although, that we need just to accept where we are and say, oh, I am like this, so I continue like this. No. We need sometimes to have the courage when we see that we have an attitude, when we have a habit that is repeating again and again, and it's harming ourselves, or it's not even repeating again and again, but we have started with that, and that's not good for us. We need to have the courage to take the bull from the horns, look at ourselves in the eyes and say, stop it. Oh, but I like it. It doesn't matter. It's difficult. It doesn't matter. The results of doing it is much worse. Sometimes we need to have this steadiness, to be firm with ourselves in that sense. Okay? So, just making a stupid example, we do this even with food, no? Oh, this is not good for me. Oh, but I like the taste. Who cares that you like the taste? It's not good, don't eat it. It's not easy, huh? For example, for me, it's very clear with ice cream. I love ice cream. I really used to eat a lot of ice cream and take ice cream. Winter, summer, it didn't matter. Good ice cream, bad ice cream, I simply loved ice cream. I still like it very much. But at a certain point, because of many reasons I don't make it too long, I cannot take any more ice cream because it harms me physically. So I simply stopped it because I had few experiences that by taking ice cream, I felt pain. So I cannot take ice cream anymore. Finish. So is there moments in which I look and I say, I would like to have ice cream? Sure. What I do? I don't take it. Why? Because I don't want the result. So it is important for us that when we see that something is harming ourselves, even if though we like it in a way or in another, or we have the habit, we need to be also strong and determined with ourselves to say, stop it. Do this, don't do that. We need to have this, be strong ourselves. Because the result of, the result of cultivating and living through negative habits is much more difficult than the effort necessary to eliminate such habits. Okay? The consequences are worse than the effort necessary to change that habit normally. So we just need to be also determined. So in the same moment that we accept ourselves, we embrace ourselves, we are with love and kindness towards us, we say, okay, this is what I am, without any sense of guilt, but we need to direct ourselves clearly. and not playing the game with ourselves. I do something that I know that is wrong, I am sorry, then I do again, then I am sorry again, then I do again, then I'm sorry again. No. What we do is that when we make a mistake, we admit, we make a strong commitment not to repeat it again. This is important also. It's like Yamantaka representing this wrathful power, which is looking to ourselves and saying, stop being selfish. Stop being so ignorant. Stop. It's like using all the destructive energy and the wrathful energy we have to go against selfishness itself. This is one example. So, it's important to purify, and but to accept ourselves, but at the same time to direct ourselves. It goes together. Okay? That's all for today. We do now the final dedications. Jetsun lame kutse rapten chi namkar tinle chochur gepada losan tempe dreme sasrowe munsel ta gyur etsendele nime kuyan delekshin nyinsen taktu delekpe sumge jingi lob cho sumge ngodrup so cho sumge sho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.